Welcome to the Adult Table, a podcast where we sit down with people in the STEM community. We set the virtual table to bring in a diverse set of guests to engage in a casual conversation on their professional career and life.
With this podcast, we hope that we can bridge the gap between the hierarchy involved with growing up. We can redefine what it means to be able to figuratively sit at the adult table.
I'm one of your co-hosts, Jason Chin.
And I'm your other co-host, Jenny Chung.
Today, we have our friend, Zoe Imansjah.
Hello.
We know you've been really busy recently moving to Texas and prepping for Sage National Conference. So just really appreciate you giving us some time to join us here on the Adult Table podcast and get to know you a little better here.
Yeah, of course. I've been wanting to just meet you guys in this setting for so long. And I've been following the Adult Table for at least a season.
Oh, incredible. Great start. But yeah, do you mind just kind of giving the listeners a brief intro of yourself, kind of what you've been up to these days, maybe kind of your journey through work or anything like that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Zoe. I am a production engineer for Dow Chemical, and I've been in this role for almost 1 year. I've been involved with things like SACE. I've been involved with a Facebook group you guys might have known as Subtle Asian Traits and Instagram. And I've also been involved in a couple other volunteering things. I volunteer for First Robotics. I think that's everything. Yeah, Science Olympiad. Yeah, I got involved with that. So clearly I have an affinity for volunteering for things that start with S. Yeah, so I graduated in 2022 from UC Santa Barbara with a degree in chemical engineering. And you got to think, how does someone from California end up in Texas? Well, I had a pit stop in Chicago. So the program that I got hired into after I got a co-op from Dow, actually at SACE NC, National Convention, I got hired into a rotational program where I was supposed to stay in one location for about 8 to 9 months and then rotate to a new site. So my first rotation was in Kankakee, Illinois, under the coatings business, and then I rotated to Texas. So now I'm here. And as for the type of engineering I do, I'm a production engineer, run plant engineer, so I make sure that our plant is working, running, producing things safely, and taking care of the people and the process. And for what we make, I know a lot of chemical engineers go into oil and gas, but I said no. I joined this major for skincare.
Oh.
And then I make paint now. I make paint and glue.
Okay.
But is skincare still potentially in the future, you think? Or are you this is actually an interesting field for paint and adhesives and stuff like that? Or I don't know, what you feeling based on your experience so far?
Well, so far I'm really liking my job more for the technical challenge of it. I find out every day that products that I make go into cosmetics, but not directly into skincare, cosmetics, things like that. We work in paper packaging. So not the actual product, but a lot of the precursors that go into it.
Gotcha. Are you ever on the coordinating side with where those products go, or are you more on the production side?
I'm an interesting role. So most production engineers, or as we call them, run plants in this company, we are, the big focus is making sure that we're running. So I have to understand not just the equipment side, but the technical side and the quality side and the coordination side and the raw materials side and logistics and how do we load them. So kind of a little bit of everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's pretty cool. And so with the rotational program, it's you're going to different sites and learning kind of how each place runs and that sort of thing. So how many rotations are you set to do? Or is it defined by time periods? You spend a year doing this and then you're done? Or I don't know how the program is structured really.
Well, the structure of the program is very dependent on where there's availability as well. I had just so happened to get the opportunity where my leader was talking to other leaders and she found out that there was an opening in Texas. And I had communicated to my leader previously that I want to be in a role that eventually gets to work with Asia Pacific, either an expat, something like that. And when she heard Texas, she pitched the idea to me and there was an opening, and my time was about to, I was supposed to start prepping for my next rotation. Things kind of worked out, and I think Texas was the right move in terms of being able to network and really form those connections to get to my next step, wherever it may be.
Mm.
Okay. What's like kind of like your mindset going in? So it sounds like you don't know what like the new location is like right away. So in terms of, I don't know, like what you were seeking. So you're pretty open-minded in terms of location, or like how do you feel about just like jumping to new places, kind of like setting your roots in like new locations at like a frequent amount of times, I guess.
That's a really good question. So let me make this straight. I'm very tired of moving. I have moved 9 times in the past 6 years.
Oh my God.
That counts, the
That's
moving to school and college and coming back from COVID and then going back and then moving around and whatnot. But I had 2 really big moves in the past year, one to Illinois and then one to Texas. And those were the 2 really big things I knew what was in my future. But I think I kind of want to stay in one place for a little bit. And what this position is good for is that I think with the way that this program is structured, the goal is to get you into a full-time position. And so I've been talking with my leader now, and the goal for this role is to get that this will be my full-time.
Gotcha. So you potentially be based out in Houston, Texas. Then.
For the time being, yeah.
Okay.
But kind of going back to the previous question of how does it feel to move so often? Honestly, I don't really feel tied down after I started moving to college and discovering who I am as a person outside of my mom's house. And I love her, but I, kind of have to learn how I live on my own. And after that first experience in college, I was thinking, you know what? I've grown up traveling. My family is all over the world. Why not go explore the US? Because if I'm going to be honest, I only know West Coast. I'm from California. I know up and down the West Coast, and I've been to the East Coast a handful of times, but Midwest, Central, South, I was a little scared to go, if I'm going to be honest. But I love traveling. I love learning about new places and just meeting new people. So I figured, why not?
Nice. Do you feel like you've experienced like kind of like culture shock going into like Illinois and Texas, or like what do you think has been like some of the more like surprising things about like moving out there in comparison to like California?
Oh my gosh. I'm glad you bring this question up. 100%. I grew up in the 626, which for those of you guys who don't know is the San Gabriel Valley in California that is predominantly Asian. And being outside of that bubble, I'll say it's a bubble, for a little bit in college and then really now moving to the Midwest, I actually experienced my first microaggression in Illinois. That happened. And then another big culture shock was how much everybody cares about sports. Like I'm gonna be honest, I do not watch sports. And when you have coworkers who bond over like, oh, how was the game last Sunday? I was like, the games are on Sunday? Aren't they on Saturday too? Like I had to take a test, okay, in freshman year of high school to cheer for football, a written test on what football was.
Wait, what?
I was in pep squad, so I was basically a cheerleader. I did like the short flags,
Okay.
and another thing I did, but yeah, everyone had to take a test, like a written test. How many points was a touchdown? What can you do after a touchdown? Things like that. What's a quarterback?
Well, that really sets you up then, because now you know enough to like talk about it.
Like I told people, I know how to watch sports, but do I watch sports? No.
Do you enjoy it? Yeah. No. Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, culture shock was, oh my gosh, I miss the Asian food. I miss like specific custards from specific restaurants and specific like, the salted egg yolk custard buns you get at dim sum.
Yeah.
I have like toured not just the ones in SoCal, but over the summer before I took the job, I went to see my family back in Indonesia. And I would try all these different salted egg yolk custard ones, and they still do not compare to the one at Capital Seafood in Monrovia. Even in Houston, they're not, it's different. But yeah, definitely culture shock. Learning how to just navigate being an only in some places.
Mm.
There's a lot of initiatives to really uplift underrepresented minorities, but sometimes you end up being an only woman, only Asian person, only Asian woman.
Mhm.
Gratefully, in Kankakee, I was not the only Asian woman, so I was very lucky about that.
Do you feel that difference kind of in setting yourself up socially or like with your community, like just with friends, like outside of work too?
If I'm gonna be honest, I am very grateful for the people I met at my first role, but I often tell people it's like I'm going to work with 9 dads. Everyone is pretty protective, but being the youngest person in both my new roles, sometimes I'm still learning how to make casual conversations with people who tend to be a little older than me. Because on one hand, like I'm not at the same stage of life as a lot of people have been. And like I don't have a family. I can't say like, oh, I'm taking my daughter to gym or sports. Um, so it's been a little bit of a challenge to make friends at work my age. I have a few now that I'm in Texas and like one really, really good friend back in Kankakee. But this is where the SACE plug comes in because I have really found that it's been so much easier to make friends with people around my age because of the extensive SACE network. Moving to the Midwest was the first time I really met the rest of the Midwest team, and I feel like I was adopted by them. And I went to Midwest Regional Conference, and they were just like, yeah, you can come help out. And now we're all friends. And then same thing with the South team. So now here, I got in touch with Ronak, the RM, and then I met the rest of the South team. And it was really nice.
Cool. That's exactly what I did when I moved to the West Coast. I was like, adopt me. And then
Yeah.
come here.
And that's like, come here.
I met you like the week before you moved to Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? The Asian community in like the area that Jenny is in just SoCal is so small. I met my neighbor, okay? My neighbor of what, like 14 years at her dragon boat competition when I was meeting Jenny for the first time. And we were talking, and Jenny, I think you were subbing in for a different team. And all of a sudden he comes around and he's like, oh, you guys getting ready? And I just stare at him and we kind of, So, yeah, I mean, you can make friends in the most odd of places. But see, like, that's the thing. I would have never gotten to meet all these people from SACE if I didn't get involved. And I like to say that I'm in a little bit of a unique position because I've never had a real, quote unquote, real position on an e-board, which is where most of the team are. I've never been on a regional team. I kind of hopped around, but I was adopted by your very good friend and my SACE grandma, Swetha.
Yeah.
The UCA Santa Barbara lineage goes strong. And I think without that, I wouldn't have had the network that I do now. So always grateful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow. I'm just realizing this now too. This is like our 5th episode of Santa Barbara people. Then
yeah, that is true too. Yeah.
What the ones? Did Alex go to UCSB?
Alex Hattori?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so there's a direct lineage, right? There was Shreyas, and then who took Swetha as his mentor while in UCSB, who became president, who took Alex as her mentor, who became president, who took me as his mentor, who broke that chain and never became president and went straight to NC. No, I was a senior advisor my senior year.
Oh, so you're still involved in a way on the e-board. Yeah.
Lightly involved. But really, I found my niche, I guess, in convention planning because I had planned WRC when it was online, and then I planned NC online in 2021. Now I'm back for NC 2023 in person. So it's the first in-person one I'm planning.
Nice. What committee are you on for SACE NC?
I am in the programming committee. I've done it for 3 years, and I will tell you, there's one reason why I picked this committee. Because of Brandon Poi. And if
Oh,
you know Brandon, he is an exemplary person because I really look up to him as I remember when I was planning one of the regional conferences in Santa Barbara, he was a freshman and he had to plan the entire West Mountain Regional Conference on his own and he pulled it off. So I took this position. My one condition was that Brandon was my manager. They
oh,
had asked me to be manager, and I was like, no. He deserves it more. He's also done it 1 year. I would be coming into an in-person NC brand new,
Mhm.
and I literally have it saved as his contact, my SACE boss eventually.
damn, I love that. Damn.
Programming is in charge of workshops. Is that what it is? I forget what.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little bit of background on programming. We're in charge of every single workshop and panel that you will see at National Convention, as well as external engagement and networking events. So, for example, we're doing a K-pop dance workshop put on by the West team. We really wanted to do a lot of cross collaboration this year. So we're doing that as a networking event. We have some engagement activities throughout the whole day, like wishing tree that doubles as a fundraiser for the Hawaii fires that happened, and
Mhm.
then things that you will do in your program at NC.
Pretty cool.
So I also double as a handler coordinator. So I'm in charge of all the volunteers that will be reaching out to all our speakers across many different companies. I should have that number memorized.
Oh, there's a good amount of them. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't been to in person or been to convention in a while, just because it's of COVID, and then I think I kind of dropped off a little bit, and I couldn't get funding to go for my company. But now I'll be there. But Jason's not gonna be there. Damn.
You
The
you
first
should
one
be
that I'm
presenting.
presenting. Oh, for
Yeah, just ask them like, hey, can I join your workshop?
we did talk about that. We were like, oh, if we want to do like a live episode or something like that too. But
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
I don't know if I have enough to talk about, to be honest. Yeah.
Jenny, we just said it. We've talked for 25 episodes. There's definitely enough content.
But we're interviewing other people. No?
No, we're ready. We're ready.
Yeah,
Speaking of interviewing.
street interviews, convention
Yeah.
floor
Hey, but
interviews.
you have experience in that. You've done interviews.
I
Let's
have.
talk about that. Yeah. So you were on
So
the red carpet or something for an event?
I was.
Please
Um,
explain to the listeners.
well, first of all, it was a gold carpet
Oh,
because it was
sorry.
the gold gala.
Okay, okay.
Very fun. Um, because of my involvement with subtle Asian traits, we kind of hit our heyday when things were, coming back in person. But for those of you guys who haven't heard of this Facebook group, it is I don't want to like pat myself on the back too much and call it a cult
Wait,
phenom,
okay.
but it was culturally significant because in 2018, a group of Australian kids, when I say kids, I mean literally high school seniors, started this group as a parody of subtle private school traits, but they called it subtle Asian traits and started posting about like Asian traits that they would notice they would do, their parents would do. And they started adding their friends. And then everyone started adding other friends. And then one of our moderators on the team was actually in San Diego at the time and started adding all his US friends. And then it just spread and it boomed. And then a New York Times article, and then 2 million people. But along the way there,
And there's so many
uh,
spin groups.
yes,
I was just saying there's
spin-off
a lot
groups
of
too.
yeah.
Yeah. And fun fact, they are all independently managed. I call it like an ecosystem, and it's kind of an interesting sociology study because we've never really advertised our group. We've never paid to be like, hey, join our group. Everything has been organic.
Mhm.
And that's not something that one can kind of replicate. So, yeah, the vision and the goal has always been quality. Like, what can we do for the community? And sometimes what can we do for the community ends up being fun things like red carpets. So over the I have to kind of trace this back because
Sure.
over the pandemic, we were actually contacted by a couple entertainment companies to do interviews or AMAs because we had done AMAs before. I think the most notable one was Hassan Minhaj,
Mhm.
where he just posted an AMA in the group and he responded in the comments and then he had his parents and they filmed a video. So the thought there was, why don't we take those AMA formats and maybe see if we would be down or whoever would be down for a virtual interview. So I've done a virtual interview like this with Kelly and Kane from Bling Empire.
Mm.
That was really fun. And just want to name a few, but because it was still the pandemic, we were still figuring things out. I think my favorite project that I ever worked on was the release of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings because Simu Liu, who is the lead actor, is in our group. Like he's posted memes, he's commented on people's things. Sometimes it is interesting to be like, oh, you're famous and you're in the group. Cool.
That's really
So when Simu was like, yeah, we'd be down to do something with subtle Asian traits, we had a whole like Shang-Chi release thing. We talked to a bunch of different partners on what we could do to really encourage people to see this movie because I mean it's the first time you really see an Asian superhero on the big screen with Marvel who is an Avenger. Again, representation has really taken on a bigger role in the group than anyone ever thought it would be. And how we got involved with that was through interviews. So I got to help put that all together. I did not do the actual interview though, but I did a lot of the prep work in the press. But, you know, as we transitioned back to in person, I got an invitation to do interviews on behalf of Meta at the Gold Gala. It was Gold House's first annual gala, and they're an initiative, like a collective, to honor and uplift very influential Asians. Asian Americans, yeah. So I remember getting this email and I was like, oh my God, they want me to do press. I have senior design due in 2 weeks. What the heck? I had a week to find a dress, get everything set up. I, didn't really have to worry about tech since they said they would be providing it. But the thought was, could they cross promote on set? Could they feature us? They had a influencer interviewer who was Jeannie Weenie on TikTok. So we actually got on a video call while I was in the middle of a senior design like working session. I took like a 30-minute break. We talked about, okay, Everything Everywhere All at Once is huge this year. We got to do something. Michelle Yeoh's going to be at this event. What's cool? And we came up with this idea of, like the little rock scene in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
What if we took a rock, put googly eyes on it, and put a little microphone and gave it to people that she was interviewing?
Okay.
And so we ended up doing that. And so all of Jeannie's interviews do have little Rocky, and you can see on her page, there's her coverage of it. But we collaborated on a couple questions, a couple ideas, and that was when I got invited to the Gold Gala. So I felt very out of place because, one, I was like, I'm not famous. The brand is famous. Zoe? No one cares about Zoe. People care about subtle Asian traits. I just happen to represent it. So, yeah, it was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of very famous people walking the carpet. I took pictures in the front and I made friends in the press line.
And you got that meme binder. The
I
signed
did! Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
that too. Yeah, now
Good
it's not
segue there.
So,
Let's go.
so I had wanted to show this meme binder, and because I was like, look, let's see if I'm subtle Asian traits. Like, we can bring memes. We are memes. We know memes. We'll bring these to the carpet. And if you guys are on Spotify, you will not be able to see this, but if you're watching on any of the shorts on YouTube, this is my binder. That is some props. Let me take it out. So that is me with my batik because it's cultural wear. And that is Jazzy Cho, Sandra, or Jeannie, and Mickey Rat. We took very cute pictures with the turning red doll. But so if you ever want to know what a press line thing is, this is the thing that they give everybody with all the attendees and their headshots.
Okay, yeah.
So I actually got a couple signatures on this. But because it was the red carpet and I had a couple interview questions I was doing for set, I was like, hey, why don't I just show memes on the carpet and get people's reactions? So I remember showing this to people and being like, identify yourself.
Oh,
Who are you? I remember like someone said Oreos. I think it was David Sun, the photographer, but I can't remember. I also showed this one.
okay.
I think this one's a pretty solid meme.
I like that meme.
I appreciate it when people laughed at it. And so I want to shout out Sherry Cola, the comedian, because she's in Joyride and she is so like down to earth. She like laughed at this one so hard. I was like, are you good?
Damn, you
So
got the comedian okay on that? That's perfect. Oh.
I know. I was like, this was supposed to be. I was gonna ask Simu to autograph this one if he showed up because he was supposed to go, but he was filming the Barbie movie and he wasn't able to make it. But this was the one that I was like, if you want to sign these, I would very much
Oh my god,
appreciate
the stock
I
photo.
was gonna ask him to sign this.
Okay, audio listeners, how to describe it's the Simu Liu like stock image photos that he's like famous for before he got into acting, but instead of him in like corporate wear, he's wearing his Shang-Chi outfit.
Yeah, but I will say I did get a couple really good memorabilia, and I think my favorite one is this autographed meme of Jimmy O Yang. You've probably seen this before. It says, "You just insulted my entire race of people." But yes. And it's I walked up to him and I was like, "Can you sign this?" And he was like, "Sure."
Cool.
Yeah, and then I have another one here. This is for turning red. You know
the-
that Asian glow?
Oh.
For those of you audio listeners, it says me takes a sip of alcohol, my face, and it's a picture of like the movie poster of turning red. So this one is autographed by the director Domi Shi and Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, who's also from Never Have I Ever. And she remembered that I showed her memes on this year's carpet because I went back in 2022. No, 2023. Yeah, I went back early this year. She's like, oh, I remember you. Some very memorable interactions, and celebrities sometimes are just people too.
Mhm.
Right.
Wow.
Celebrities are just like us.
They're just like us. They're
Yeah.
just like us.
That's awesome.
I've messed up plenty in front of famous people. I have lost my cool.
Uh-huh.
I met Michelle Yeoh at this interview, and I like, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah, go for it.
I lost my. She's so graceful. Oh my god, my
Camera's
hello.
Wow.
No, she's as gracious and like seriously an amazing human being. I know that we were kind of we were looking a little funny on the carpet. I think Jeannie had her sausage fingers. We were like trying to wave her down, and she actually
saw
came
this
and talked
picture on
to
your
us.
Instagram. I've seen this.
Yeah. No, she's so humble, very gracious,
Awesome.
and very buff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see
I was
that.
like, okay. I want my arms to look as good as Michelle Yeoh's.
Wow.
So that happened. And then I texted my family right after. And they asked me, did you speak in Bahasa to her? She's Malaysian. Did you know that? I was like, I don't speak Malaysian, but I speak Bahasa Indonesian, which is close enough.
Mm.
So the WhatsApp group chat was very happy that night.
Awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing like your post on Instagram. It's just like felt like kind of unreal to just like see all these people like so up close and personal and just like getting me behind there. Like, do you think, I know you mentioned like a lot of stories. Do you think there's any one person that like surprised you the most in terms of like how they came across or their personality or anything?
Maybe not one specific person, but maybe just like little things I've noticed about a collection of people. Henry Golding is very, very tall in person. He plays Nick Young in Crazy Rich Asians. He's very tall in person. I gotta think about this. Oh, I have to tell you guys about one of the worst interactions I've ever had, and it was 100% my fault.
Okay.
So all I will say is that Hennessy is a very big sponsor of this event. That's all I will say. And I was 21 at the time. make inferences what you will. But it was toward the end of the night, and they had an after party at a club in LA. And I know Eric Nam is here, like in the crowd. And I was like, I'm such a big fan. I would want to talk to Eric Nam. But you know what my dumbass comes up with? I go up to him and I say, hey, can I ask you a stupid question? And I don't know if you've seen his BuzzFeed interview, the Thirst Tweets one, where he reads a thirst tweet and he goes, step on me. And it's like, will you step on me? That's what the tweet says. And he's like, no, absolutely not. But I'm paraphrasing here. I think he says, but for any amount of money. It's still on BuzzFeed. I don't have the actual clip, but I ended up asking him like, will you step on me? And that is the cringiest moment that I've had many cringy moments, but that is the one that I look back on and I'm like scared to show my face in front of Eric Nam at this point because I'm like, what if he remembers that in person? I'm okay. Like that's not the worst thing I could have done, but I look back and I think, oh my gosh,
What did he say?
Yeah, what's the aftermath? That's what I'm more.
The aftermath was like, I think he just turned away and he was like, no.
Oh.
But then he came back into frame and he was laughing like it was a joke. But no, it was all fine. Really, really cool guy. And the one person I'm very afraid to show my face in front of again. So hey, if any of you guys ever feel starstruck, at least you didn't ask someone to step on you.
Yeah,
In
well,
person.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in mind next time. I'll just leave that on the internet, and then in person, I'll say other things. Yeah.
Oh, actually, really a cool thing, and that coincides with the name of the adult table. So I was invited back in 2023 again, but we all get table arrangements since it's a very nice gala. And I sit down at my table and I look and I meet everyone, and we have Alan Kim from Minari, and then we have Malia Emma, who's been in a couple acting projects. I think she just released a solo movie. Sway Bhatia, who I believe was in Succession. And just to name a few people, and I realized as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God. I am 22 and I'm still at the kids' table. I have not graduated to the adult table yet. Yeah, so sometimes you're still put at the kids' table. It was a really fun night, though.
It's the fun place to be, honestly.
It is. It is. Oh, I remember someone else. And it's funny because I actually have her autograph. Rosalie Chang was at my table too.
Oh, whoa.
Oh.
She was his name turning red. But yeah. Oh, okay. Another embarrassing moment. Johnny from NCT?
Uh-huh.
He was one of the presenters, and I was like, okay, now I know what he looks like. And everyone at the end of the ceremony, they're all walking back. I just happened to be walking like so far enough that I'm like, oh, there's Johnny. And I ask him, hey Johnny, quick question. Have you ever heard of subtle Asian traits? And he goes, no, what? And then I'm like, thank you. And I walk away. I have talked to Johnny from NCT.
That's cool.
And embarrassed myself again.
Honestly, I really commend you for having the confidence to just go up to people. I kind of wanted to ask you what your mindset is, because I feel like, at least for me, that just feels like such a big step to just approach anyone. And I feel like we've talked about it too, even approaching people at a SACE conference where they don't have all this fame and all this background and all this stuff. How do you mentally get ready for that? Or was that always something that you had, that you just had confidence to just kind of approach people or get to know people or meet new people, stuff like that?
Well, for one, it's twofold. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little bit of an extrovert, so I do like just to talk to people, make people feel comfortable. Part of that also comes from being that person who was left out when they were younger. I remember there was a group in college that they made a separate group chat, and maybe I'm airing out dirty laundry here, but I found out that they didn't really like me, and they like I think intentionally excluded me from that group, and I never wanted to make anyone feel that way being on the receiving end of that. So I guess that point on, I started thinking, you know what? It's a little bit of riskiness of just like, I don't, if things go south, okay, keep going on. I can swear, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're
Um,
good.
a little bit of like the F it, we ball.
She didn't even swear.
Just
She asked it didn't say
what? I realize it's gonna be published. Like my mom might see this.
it. That's my motto. Fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball. I say that all the time.
Dang! Oh, scandalous. No, but coming from that place of being that person that was left out, I didn't want anyone to go through that. And that kind of inspired me to really lean into positions where I can not just want to create opportunities for others and give back in that way as a thank you to people who have given me opportunities. Part of that is I hate awkward silences, so I will be the one to speak up and I will break that silence. I think I've strayed from the original question, but at some point, you growing up, you talk to enough adults and you have to work on certain projects and you have to do this, things together and collaborate. And at a certain point, everyone is people. Treat them with respect and how they would like to be. And there's no shame in being a little too formal and then easing up.
Mm.
But to a certain degree, it's like everyone is a person with subtle Asian traits. I felt like I was living a little bit of that double life. I mean, here I was, 19, in college, filled out a Google form, got an email back a month or two later, like, oh, we want you to join the team. Sick. I run an online group. And with that thing being online, it's like, you are not the face. I am not the influencer. I never want to be an influencer.
Mhm.
I value my privacy a little too much. But if I can contribute to a brand that is based on helping people and helping people feel like they belong somewhere, I really do enjoy that. So that kind of goes into why I still volunteer for SACE, to create those opportunities for people that find it really hard to get internships. Like my company doesn't even recruit from my school, and it is one of the most reputable chemical companies in the world. And it's just because there's just not many plants out there, but there's so much talent. So SACE is a place where you can really start connecting those people. SACE Connect, haha. Back to the celebrity thing. I'm like all over the place today.
No, it's good. You're good.
Because of that like double identity, it's like I have really nothing to lose. The gala is the one event I go to every year. Now that I moved out to Texas, I don't really move back and forth. But not being in LA means I have to really think about what events that I can commit to for subtle Asian traits if they want us to do anything. And because we're mostly online, it's like, yes, I am a reflection of the brand. I will be working and I will be reflecting that brand. But I have a little bit of security in that, like, I have a career outside of it.
Mm.
Yes, everything I put out there as part of the brand can be found by people in my organization and my company. But it's things like that that I don't feel like I'm risking my own. How do I phrase this? Yes, I'm representing the brand, but let me think about, is this something someone representing the brand would do as a host? If it was me, a reflection of me, that my answer might be a little bit different. Because let's say I'm interviewing, name someone. Name someone.
My mind went blank.
Anyway, it's okay. Let's break down to this.
Thinking.
If I was not at these events with the sole purpose of saying, hey, I'm here to interview people, I would not have the guts to talk to people on my own.
Okay, I relate to that. This
Yeah,
is exactly why Jason and I started this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, and it's things like Stace. It's like, okay, I'm here to maybe help someone look for a position or like connect them with someone. And to do that, I need to talk to people. And
Right.
so having some sort of purpose or assignment or something you set for yourself before you go and talk to people kind of it makes it less scary because it's like, oh, it's an assignment. I still kind of have to do it. Let's just do it. And if it's just talking to people, because I think I used to get really nervous too talking to people I didn't know. And those situations, I still find myself really nervous when it's me casually. But let's say
Mhm.
I'm there for a career fair. What can I help you with? There's like things I can fall back on, and then that transitions into learning about people.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't
That's
know if that made any
exactly,
sense,
I feel
but
that exact sentiment. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
that was my
yeah.
also kind of like, and I know like a lot of people, it's harder to explain if someone hasn't really been through that experience, I think, what that feeling is like. But I think now that I've been through it, I look back and I'm like, oh, there was really nothing to be scared about at all. Like
Yeah.
it's like just having a conversation with a person. I think before when I was in college, it was like, oh, it's kind of scary. Like they're adults and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But in reality, it's kind of just, yeah, like creating those connections. Everyone also lives life unlike you, like, you know, you're going through the same stuff and just creating regular connections. You don't have to put them on a pedestal necessarily or anything, right? It's like, yeah, we're just people.
Yeah. And still treat everyone. You know, what's that like golden rule they teach you in elementary school? Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Hmm.
It holds up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to give any piece of advice just for like the career fair or convention, because I know by the time this gets released, it'll probably be after that.
It
But
will.
in case if anyone is looking for a job or talking to recruiters or doing career fairs, those are intimidating. And personally, I think the best way to break the ice is, I mean, yeah, everyone can tell you elevator pitch, things like that. Do your research, but really, like, know that you're there for a purpose and make that purpose clear.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's actually funny, like recently my company did like an open house. And so like I was kind of on the other side, right? I'm like expecting students to come up to me and like I'm acting basically as a recruiter. And I do feel like those same or similar nerves, even being on the other side. Like I'm the one who has the ability to like offer someone like a job, right? Like I'm on that side of there, but I still have that like nervousness of like meeting new people and like when they come up and approach me as like being comfortable and being ready, like that's where for me as like the other side, like it's much easier to have that conversation. But like when they're coming up and like yeah, like they're not really sure what their purpose is or whatever, then like it's like really difficult as like a recruiter side. So it's just like, really interesting to be on the other side and kind of understand more of or try to relate more to who I would be potentially talking to at like a career fair if I did go to NC again at some point.
You should come.
Oh.
Wyatt.
I'll
Yeah,
be at Boston. That'll be 20 minutes away from me. So I'm
I'll be in the Boston one too. I'll see you there.
I'll think
really
about Boston first. They Gigi probably wants you to come back and plan it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
good.
That is not my confirmation. That is my I'll think
Oh,
about it.
okay, okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, even just meeting people out in public, you never know who you're gonna run out into. And if things get awkward, things get awkward. You might never see them again. But hey, you never know who could be a new friend unless one of you breaks the ice. And my pro tip for that is find something minuscule and awkward to be like, hey, that's a little awkward too. Be like, yeah, that's a little awkward. Or like, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll say too, like, you kind of mentioned like, yeah, maybe it just doesn't work out, but stories like you said with like Eric Nam, like those are just good stories to tell too. So like either way, it comes out positive, right? Like you're coming out and you still have that experience, and one, you'll learn from it, but two, it's just a good story to kind of pass along too.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I've made many, many very close friends. Like I have loved my team, honestly. I actually went to Australia to meet all of them for the first time in 2022 in person because we had only like seen each other. And it's a lot, it makes more sense for me to go to
Right.
Australia than for all of them to come here. And it was just like meeting old friends.
Oh, really? Like it wasn't like interactions that you had with them online, was it basically the same in person? It's like, oh, we just
Yeah.
been friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like you're meeting old friends, even though this is the first time I've really met you in person. Like, oh, you're a lot taller than I thought you were gonna be. But yeah, I mean, some people are exactly how they are online.
Yeah.
Some people have more sides to them.
Mhm.
And regardless, it was an amazing experience. So there is power to internet connections.
That's true.
But again, be safe.
That is, that's like me and half the adult table podcast team. I haven't met half of them in person.
Really?
The new people
Okay.
like Ronak, Amy, or Aaron, actually.
Wait, you haven't met?
I've met more staff people than you, Jenny.
I met Amy.
I haven't
I
met
don't think I'm in person. No. Mm-mm.
Oh,
All online.
Well,
And you've
and that's the thing, like you have a reason to talk to them because you're working on this project. I will say projects, initiatives are great ways to talk to people and break that ice.
Jason, you've never met Zoe, right? In person? This is the
No,
first
we
time.
did. I
Oh.
thought we did last year.
Oh.
Did you win an award?
you're putting me on blast. Wait, really? Because
We are in the same boat.
no. Yeah, we did.
We did. We
No,
met. We've been in the same
Oh,
boat. I
wait.
look a little different. I look a little different. So
I forgot because yeah, that's the first time. Like, I don't think I knew who you were, and then after I remember we jumped on a call to talk about like all the NC things. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was so stressed. I showed up to that photo shoot thing like 20 minutes late, and I was like,
Oh,
they took all the photos without me. I was
oh they,
you're still on the cover.
they
It's okay. No, I look a little different, but yeah, that was me.
Oh yeah.
have met.
All right, my bad on that.
Wow, that's kind of awkward, Zoe. Let's bond over that moment.
Yeah.
Yo, Jenny,
Don't
Jenny
you hate it? Don't you hate it when like you think you've met someone and then you're like, did I really meet them? And then they say, yeah, we've met. This is when we met, and you have that really awkward moment where we're like, oh, that's right, we met then. No, it happened to me too. It happened to me too.
Yo, Jenny didn't remember meeting me.
What did oh, and like when we first met back in college, like way
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
That's fair. I don't remember meeting a lot of people. I just forget.
Jenny
Like
literally knows everyone though. I think that's the hard part.
No, Jenny does.
Every
No,
single
Jenny somehow knows my friend that I made on the internet, and we are
Okay,
internet
yeah, I was
friends.
just
Like, we met up, and I was like, Jenny, how do you know him? And he was
How do
like,
you know him?
oh, I'm staying with Jenny. And I'm like, how do you know him? We'll talk about this later.
yeah, we will.
But
offline,
Jenny
yeah.
knows everybody. Jenny knows everybody.
That's not true. That's
It's like 100% true.
It's 100%.
When you show
You think
up-
I have connections? Jenny has connections.
This podcast isn't about me. Let's
Yeah, what actually, I have a question to ask you as the podcast host. Have you guys ever had your own episodes?
We've had like kind of our own, but it was kind of themed. I think we did do, I'm trying to think. We did do one where we played that game We're Not Really Strangers, like for the audience to get to know me and Jason better. And then I think we had some other personal episodes
We
with
did like a professional one, like before
Yeah.
NC 2 years
Yeah.
ago, I think.
but it's been a while.
Okay.
So
It's been
Yeah.
a while, that's what I thought. Okay.
yeah,
Those are fun though. Yeah, it's been a while.
we should do another one. We're thinking about it. Yeah.
Version 3. But yeah, see, Jenny knows everybody. And that's a cool thing about Stace. You don't realize who knows who and who knows who personally outside and who has mutual friends with who that also knows from Stace. Or
Right.
who met someone at this one event that they followed each other on Instagram and that you met this other person and they're like, wait, you know them? And they're like, not really, but I met them once.
Right. Yeah, that's usually the case. Yeah.
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 Yo, I swear, like every person from SACE who visits LA gets to meet every single person who's in SACE who lives in LA or like also in New York. Like you visit for one weekend and then I feel like there's a flock of like 30 SACE people there.
That is so true. So I have been bouncing around all the regions this year. So I'm from the West. I'm not, honestly, I don't really know the West team, the current West team too well. But hey, we'll all meet up at NC. But since moving to the Midwest, I got to know the Midwest people. And then I had a little concert in New York. And then I met the Northeast team. I met 2 people. And then I moved to the South. And then I met everyone from the South team. So I've just been like bouncing around all the regions. I'm not really tied down.
Testing the water.
I'm like, and will I join a regional team? Who knows?
Ooh. I mean, you don't have to. You know everyone already.
That's true.
More responsibility.
That's true. Yeah, you get all the benefits without the actual meetings, which sounds like a pretty good situation there.
You guys make it seem like I'm taking advantage of everybody.
Because I did the same thing. I'm not on any. I've never been on any like collegiate team. I've just been volunteering for like other stuff. I used to do Safe Tank. Rest in peace.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was always I did regret not doing collegiate back in its prime.
Hey.
Oof,
It will run again,
call
Jenny.
Well.
Jenny.
The thing is, like, they did the Vegas trip, they did a New Orleans trip, and I was like, dang, that could have been me when they did that. But all my peers, the same college year as me, were doing it at that time. So everyone that I knew were doing it, and I was like, that would have been a good time. Because now it's all youngins. I'm like, I don't know any of the young people.
I have the same sentiment where I'm like, oh, I wish that was me, and like I didn't get involved early enough. But that same sentiment of, oh, they're all youngins, doesn't it make you feel like when you're a senior in high school and you're like, oh, these freshmen, they're so young and small.
Every single SACE interaction, you're like, oh, you're like 20. I'm like
you're born in 2000.
Eddie, I was born in 2000.
I'm sorry. You're a youngin.
I just turned 23.
Okay, you're not the what does that mean when they're like 2000 and they're like and you hit the line.
Can you believe that 16-year-olds were born in 2008?
That's when the Beijing Olympics happened. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the financial crisis.
China Olympics.
Remember the little like logos? I think they were pandas, but like
I was in Beijing at that time, like the year that was happening, so they're setting up and everything. And they had like these mascots for every color of the ring.
Yeah, I remember that.
Each name is actually like Beijing Huanging, which means like Beijing welcomes you, but they do like Beijing Jing Huang Huang. Mimi. It's really cute, and they're so cute. Like I got these pictures. Sorry, that's off topic.
I have a bookmark.
Oh, you do? That was like a cool time for like China.
Was that the one with the drumming introduction? Like the welcome ceremony had all the drumming, and that went mega viral on YouTube.
Oh, is it a really coordinated effort? Like
that one.
I think it was that one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, I mean, they went off because they're like, yeah, we're hosting this, and like we're gonna show everyone why China is the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, okay. Besides the 2008 also financial crisis. Sorry.
The financial crisis over
forgot. Right. That's why. That was a while back, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Zoe, you're remembering the financial crisis? You were like 8.
I know.
What are you doing out there?
She was worrying about
my taxes.
She was like, I need to buy a house. Honestly, we all messed up by not buying a house when we were 10 years old, guys.
I know, right? I'm looking at buying a house like 13 years later, and I'm like, darn, I should have started 13 years ago.
Damn, didn't make money moves, and that's why.
Yeah, you didn't save. You bought that one toy, and that's just gonna ruin you for the rest of your life. That's it. No turning back.
It's so funny because as a kid, I knew like in the 2008, like money was hard. Living in California is not cheap, and I knew that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a good daughter, and I'm not gonna ask for too much, but it wouldn't hurt to try. And so my mom tells me growing up. And I didn't know this until much later. I was a goody two shoes. Like I was a goody ass two shoes. I would say like, I want this toy. And it's like, can I please have it, Mom? And she's like, no, I'm sorry. And then I'm like, okay. And she keeps telling me it's like the worst thing is like you didn't put up a fight. And so I felt bad. I just bought it for you.
So you still got it.
Well, okay, but like understanding the 2008 financial crisis as an 8-year-old made me think like, now I understand why my parents saved all those plastic bags and reuse everything and love their Ziplocs and wash their Ziplocs.
I still do the same thing.
I do the same thing.
I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, I'm exactly like my parents, which is like a good thing for some things, like because they're really conservative and frugal in certain aspects of their life, and I apply that to my life now. And it's like, wow, I'm exactly like them.
Oh my gosh. I had this realization recently because I moved into my place in Texas with the help of my brother. And my mom came to visit recently, and then she walked inside this her kitchen and she says, Zoe, I'm so proud of you. You set up your kitchen exactly how I would set it up. I was like, I am becoming my parents.
Nice. You got the parental approval. There it is.
Yeah. That is another thing. I have, and going back to the whole like knowing how to talk to people as a kid, I would talk to parents a lot for some reason. I don't know why. I had that parental riz. But getting used to talking to adults at such a young age, I think eventually translated into what I call professional riz. Like I would say I'm pretty good at career fairs.
Okay,
Now,
okay.
now as for like regular riz, none of that.
Oh,
Not good at that.
can't have them all. That's okay.
Yeah, can't have them all. You can't win everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect in every way. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair. I think being able to talk to older people, like you just were more mature back then, like as a kid, and then that just carries over because you can like you're like code switching essentially. Like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I have to ask you guys, like, did you ever get told, "Oh, you're so mature for your age"? I got
yeah.
that all the time. Like, I talk to people now and they think I'm 26.
Honestly, when I met you, I thought you were older.
How old did
I
you think I was, Jenny?
I thought you were my age, which
I
is
get
not
that a
that far.
lot. I get that a lot. And then, like, I tell people, like, yeah, I was born in 2000. They're like, what?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
I feel like you've just done so much in your life already. I don't know.
I have done a lot, but I still feel like I have done very little.
Hmm.
I've actually scaled back on a lot of things, and I think that's, something I'm trying to do, as I move into adulthood.
Hmm.
Growing up in like super competitive high school, you kind of are pushed to do anything and everything.
You're right.
Mm.
And you know what that leads to? Burnout.
True, true, true. So what do you, okay, yeah, so what do you do like outside of work, volunteering, and other general activities? What other things are you into? Like your hobbies and stuff like that. What do you do in your spare time?
So I took that like, what are your innate personalities quizzes? And I was like, this is so accurate because it says you were like an old soul or something like old person, whatever. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I started knitting in middle school.
Oh,
Yeah, I knit. I can't crochet.
okay.
And I knit because it's something for my hands to do while I'm watching shows because I can't sit still. So
Mm.
I knit like I was watching Crash Landing on You and I was just knitting and I like didn't think about it and by the time the series like the season ended my scarf was 6 feet long.
Wow.
So I knit sometimes,
Mhm.
haven't been getting into that, but I do love crafting. I also really like cooking. So
Mm,
I cook like my parents. I don't follow recipes very often, which means like I'm really bad at baking, but I'm working on it. But
Mm.
I like to cook because moving up from my first time in Illinois, it's a really small town that I was in. There was no Asian food unless I drove an hour, or well, no good Asian food, unless I drove an hour up to the city. And even then, it wasn't what I could get back home. So I learned to cook a lot on myself, and I have found that I really like making soup. It's so easy, and it lasts you for the whole week. It's great for like a single person. I started a soup account. I was like, I want to document my soup and I want to tell people about my soup and I want to remember what recipes I made because I don't remember them. Like
okay.
the way I cook is I defrost some meat if I, even have meat. And I think, okay, what else do I have in my fridge? And I start pulling out vegetables and I'm like, this will do.
Hmm.
So then things happen and then I come out with the soup and I'm like, if I ever want to recreate this because it tastes good, I need to know how to write this down. So
Mhm.
that's
True.
why I started it. But yes,
So when did you
this
start the soup account? How long has it been now?
about a year actually. I only started it when I moved out to Illinois because,
Oh, I
like,
see.
I'm gonna be honest, in the middle of winter
Yeah.
in Illinois, where it takes an hour to drive up to Chicago, and you are a single person on your own time, there's only so much Netflix you can watch.
Mm.
Mm.
So I started cooking a lot and I started
Pretty
posting
cool.
just some soups.
Yeah. Do you see a
Gotcha.
progression of your soups? Like you're like, oh, I don't know, like the recipes that like more complex. You're like, oh, I can make like all these different types of soups versus like simple soups. I know there's times for both, but
Sometimes you want both. Now I'm getting a little more, not courageous, experimental with mine. I think my photography has gotten a little better since I got better lighting in my new kitchen.
okay.
The reason why I make so many soups is because I want to practice to achieve one of my adult goals. I want to buy myself a Le Creuset. Like,
Yeah.
not even talking about, you know, when you're young, people are like, I want to buy fashion, clothes, jewelry. And I'm like, yeah, those are cool, but like, what about a Dutch oven?
Yeah,
I
for
want
you.
to make enough money where I can spend $500 on a Dutch oven and be like, this is justified.
It's like the Lamborghini of Dutch ovens, Jason.
Yeah.
It's this really nice Dutch oven pot, and they have other things too, not just the Dutch oven. I know they make smaller versions and stuff like that, but it's like expensive. You should look it up, Jason. I have a mug.
I'm
It
trying to
is
look it up. What is
stupidly
it
I
called?
have this
expensive.
Le Creuset
Le
mug.
Creuset?
Oh, I see it
It's
sold on
spelled,
Williams Sonoma. That's already like
yeah.
No, they have their own store. But yeah, so I really like soup. Sponsor me? No.
Oh yeah, we have a sponsor. Yeah, Le Creuset sponsor for your soup account.
I'm
Nice.
not there yet. I'm
Soup
not there yet.
influence.
But really, my personal social media has just been, for my personal social media, it's the same as when I first started my first accounts at middle school. It's to share what's going on in my life, achievements and events with my friends
Mhm.
and my family. My one rule that I've kept since I think like middle school when I started my Instagram was, yeah, if I haven't met you in real life or I haven't had a significant conversation with you or like known you for a bit of time for a while, I'm not going to accept your follow request.
hmm.
Or like if I can't recall how I've met you, yeah,
Like a real
that's
yeah.
yeah. So the soup account is one way to just be like, here, let me just don't shit post, soup
Mhm.
post.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so I cook a lot, started baking a little bit. I started actually really hitting the gym because again, not much to do when you're snowed in and can't drive too far. So I started hitting the gym and I, got a little bit into fitness and you realize how much you eat when you start cooking for yourself and how it's easier to just prepare healthy meals. I love to eat. And if I wanted to like give myself the proper nutrition to support my like fitness progress and goals, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to know what goes into my food and learn how to make it taste good.
Hmm.
So that's the motivation. Like I want to be able to run a mile without an asthma attack. That's my goal.
I hate running.
I love running now. I want to run a 5K.
Ooh, you should,
Ooh,
yeah.
do
Jason
they
recently
still
did
do that
a
space
what did
at the
Jason do?
national conference?
Oh yeah, I did that. You know when they were doing the 5K thing at National Convention a few years ago in Pittsburgh?
See, I wasn't as involved with SACE when Pittsburgh happened.
Yes,
Oh,
Jason and I did that
the good
actually.
old days.
And it was like in the morning and it was raining a little bit. I remember because Matt Diaz was leading it. And sometimes when you're at convention, you make the mistake of going out every night. So Jason and I were
Say,
I was out until like we were at the bars until like I don't even know 3 a.m.
I
And then we wake up at 5 a.m. So I took a 2 hour nap and we did the 5K. But I had been training for it, so like it was fine. But I remember that was an interesting experience because Jason carried me to the finish
That's how you know you're like best friends for life.
line. Yeah, but I forgot about that one. But you should do a 5K. That's actually a good goal to work toward for running and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if you're on like a fitness thing and you're only going to the gym, that shit gets boring.
Yeah.
So I started picking up a couple sports. Over the pandemic, I got into rock climbing. Basic
no.
engineer going into rock climbing. But it gives me something to look forward to when I'm like at the gym doing normal reps and being like, this is how I'm gonna train this one muscle to do more things.
Mhm.
So rock climbing was one. Now that there is a gym closer to me in Houston, I want to sign up for a membership after NC. And the other one was figure skating. So I used to be a figure skater back in like fifth grade. I skated for 1 year and I got to almost competition level and I got too busy. I had to drop it. But now that I was on my own and there was a skating rink like 10, 15 minutes away from my house, I said, screw it. Lessons are relatively cheap. I'm gonna buy myself a pair of skates and take figure skating lessons again. So I want to continue that over here, but I am learning that my body at 10 years old is very different from my body at 23.
Yeah, just wait. Everything just starts hurting for no reason. You just wake up and you're just in pain.
Yeah.
Like we're so old. Jason, please. No, but
I wake up and it's like I didn't do anything yesterday. All I did was walk.
okay, I think this sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like having a goal to be like, I want to be able to hold my spiral longer. That's like, okay, I'm gonna train legs really hard so I can really extend. I'm gonna stretch a little bit extra and practice my flexibility so I can get my foot over my head without throwing my back out.
Mhm.
So my one hurdle with that was actually I had to quit because I could not get my 1 foot spin. I could not spin on 1 foot. And I can now.
Oh,
Nice.
she swore.
I swore. I am checking off a lot of bucket list items this year, actually.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else
Yeah.
is like on the list that you're working through?
Ooh, list that I'm working through right now. Not being at risk for pre-diabetes.
Nice. I am at risk.
Yeah, no, I grew up the chubby
my best
kid. No, I grew up being the chubby kid, and I was like, okay, I'm on my own now. Part of the whole fitness thing and like getting to cook by myself was feeling like I finally had a better relationship with food. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get to a healthy BMI. And I know BMI is technically a trash metric, but I feel like I wanted to do something for myself then too. Because I also like dressing up in cute clothes. So yeah,
Awesome.
that was like multiple parts of it. But other things on the bucket list, I've always wanted to see Taylor Swift, and I did.
Nice.
I think the only thing left is like skydiving.
Ooh.
I
Can
need to actually
can
work on my
recommend.
bucket list. Yeah. I don't know. I have to look at my New Year's goals.
Do you feel like you like have, or I guess like to preface, Jenny and I have like talked about our goals like a lot and just like kind of our methods and like how much we follow through with it, which from the sounds of it, we don't follow through with like a lot of them. So I'm just wondering
Oh
kind
my
of like
God.
what your process is. Like, do you have like a formal way of like tracking that and like historically, like do you like kind of stay on track with a lot of these things? Because I know it's like really hard, especially since you're doing like a lot of things too.
Yeah, no, I used to be that kind of person that would think, nah, I'm just really not good at setting goals, so I'm gonna set my expectations low so I never fail myself. But I think deep down I always had things I wanted to do, and part of growing up was like learning how to get to those interim goals and learning how to reset those goals. You know, people say SMART goals. Yeah, they really work. Um,
Mm.
I think for me, the hardest part to really put that into work was, is it realistic? Is it achievable? Or no, like time frame and is it realistic? So I think right now in this point of life, I have very abstract goals. I don't have any specific like 5 year plan, 10-year plan, but I think I want to have an idea of what my future is like, and hopefully I'll do what I can to get there. And when the time comes, hopefully it'll get there, but I won't say that I didn't put the work to do it. So, like for example, I love traveling. I want to be in a role where I get to travel every once in a while, or at least get to be international and maybe specifically Asia Pacific. So I know that at some point in my career, I want to work with Asia Pacific, live that expat life maybe, be a little closer to my family back home. And then the Le Creuset.
And the Lakers.
And the Le Creuset. It's so funny. It's so funny. I'm like, okay, I'm paying off a car. I paid my rent. I'm like, I'm doing pretty good for myself. I don't make enough money to buy Le Creuset though, and I'm here paying off my car, and I'm like, I still don't make enough money.
It's just different because it's like an item that like, I don't know. There's something about buying something really nice for yourself versus something that you know you're going to be using that you need to use for like your day to day, right? It's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, not that you wouldn't use your Lakers say every day. I'm just saying, like, in terms of you could live without it for now.
It's hard to
Yeah.
decide. Yeah.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, that's the exact kind of mentality I took when I started getting into garage sales.
In the garage sales.
Yeah, so the demographic of Kankakee is a lot of like older families
Mm,
and like established families that they have elderly parents or grandparents that either moved on or they moved away, and they have a lot of items because I feel like the cost of living being cheaper makes people more likely to accumulate items. So people would host a lot of garage sales. So I would go there to look for my craft supplies, a lot of knitters. This was great at discount. Knitting stuff is expensive. A lot of cookware, glassware, and like really cool knickknacks. I got a really nice set of those like really fancy, not martini glasses. But you
whiskey?
know what?
Oh no.
No, no, not whiskey glasses. They're like kind of smaller. They're rounded instead of sharp like the martini glasses. But I know it's like the fancy
Oh, like
glassware that,
the
Oh, for cocktails, like the short.
yeah,
what that
yeah,
costs.
the one where you feel like when you drink out of it and you pay $13, you're getting scammed because it's so small.
Yeah,
$13
yeah.
Got it.
is like a steal. Everything's freaking ridiculous, but
Yeah, I got a set of those. Got a guitar for like $50 with a stand.
oh.
I got two bookends that are the head and tail of a fish.
Okay. Oh, that's pretty
You find
cool.
some interesting stuff out there.
Yeah. Oh.
Were you able to bring all that stuff from Illinois down to Texas?
Yes, because I was still stingy about buying things with garage sales. Um, so you
Yeah.
guys want to see the fish bookends?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
Wait, that's pretty sick.
This is like so Midwestern. It's so cool.
Oh my God. I did not expect, I don't even know what I was expecting, but that was way
Fish
beyond.
bookends.
it's
Like,
like
look at that.
a lot more realistic than I thought. I don't know what I was saying.
All right. Yeah, you guys will have to go to the video version to look at the book, the
But
bookends.
you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, worth it.
Yeah, but like I found some really cool things like housewares, fixtures, paintings, mirrors, because again, you're on a budget, you're moving up for the first time, and you're like, damn, I have no money.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of need things for my house.
You're right.
And not to draw a divide in the gender approach to these things, but I have some guy friends that have lived on like a bed and a mattress and like a desk for their gaming computer, and they're like, I'm good. You know, all the power to you if you can do that. But I'm like, not even a dresser.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I want to create like a cozy space for myself, you know. If I'm living in that space, yeah, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, hey, all the power to you. Couldn't be me.
Cool. Okay. I know running on time. This has been great. Thank you for everything
The
so far.
derailed conversation.
But yeah, so while we wrap up this episode, one last thing that we like to ask our guests before we wrap up is in the theme of our podcast, the adult table. So what is one thing you did recently that made you feel like a real adult, or what is one adult thing you wish you knew sooner?
Oh, okay. I can answer them both. So, one adult thing that made me feel like an adult. There's been a couple moments that have made me feel like an adult, like when I was in my place for the first time and just by myself.
Mhm.
But recently, what makes me feel like an adult is cleaning my kitchen and
Oh,
my car.
oh, car.
I'm very particular. I bought a monthly membership to the car wash. I really do not like glass or like mirrors that you have water spots on it. So I felt like an adult when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my car to the car wash and I'm gonna vacuum everything so it looks like a very neat and meticulous new car.
Nice.
And just really arranging my space to feel organized.
Hmm.
So that's something I did recently that made me feel like an adult. Just cleaning up, making me feel organized, putting the dishes away before I wash new dishes because I'm really bad at that. When I first did it, I was like, yeah, this is adulting. I'm gonna use that word. But an adult tip that I would give to all of you guys who are listening if you've made it this far after all this rambling, create a space where you feel comfortable, that you feel like you are organized and that you enjoy. Sometimes, it's a little cliche to think that it's the little things in life, but it really is. I cannot work anymore if I don't have my desk clean. I used to be able to. I don't know how I got through it in college, but organizing your space makes a huge, huge difference. I don't know if that's like the tip that we were going to as like a career, but
Oh, good. Any
that's my
tip?
one tip.
Yeah, any adulting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and if you want another adult tip,
Okay, hit us with it.
make friends with whoever that you happen to meet. You never know, they could end up being your next best friend, or they could not saying that you want to be opportunistic or transactional about it, but there are so many people in this world with so many unique and different stories that it's like if you have the chance to meet them all, why not take the chance and get to know them?
Agreed. Yeah. You could start a
Yeah.
podcast with someone you met in college.
That carried, you never know, they might carry you across the line of a 5K. Yeah. I mean, hey, we're also figuring it out. Even those of us who look like they have their stuff together and get mistaken for much older than they actually are. Um, we're also figuring it out. And that's a little cliche to say, but there's no written guide for how to adult besides living through it. So if you have an opportunity and you have a chance, assessing the risks, take it. You never know what could lead you. Like, I never knew I would get a position where I would be embarrassing myself in front of K-pop celebrities if I didn't say yes to a Google form for a meme page that I stumbled upon and was checking because I was stressed out from an OChem quiz. I did that in 15 minutes and I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So you never know. Take those chances.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah, really appreciate the advice, but also just like it's really like fun conversation. I think like as we continue to do more podcasts too, I think for me at least, I don't want to speak for Jenny, but like have definitely enjoyed more of the conversation, just getting to know people and like away from maybe like the super professional structured stuff, but just hearing like all the different types of stories and like interests and things that are just so different from something that like I grew up with or like I'm used to. So definitely appreciate this conversation and appreciate you just coming onto the adult table. Like I said, we know you're really busy, but glad we could get you for a few hours. So before we kind of end, do you have any like socials or anything you want to plug to the listeners, possibly a soup account that may or may not exist that you want to pub,
No socials. Just kidding. If you want the soup account, it's all I make is soup on Instagram. But for my personal Instagram, I remember I said that rule earlier. If you don't know who I am, I probably will not accept it. So please don't take it to heart of being like, I'm a fan and I'm going to request and I'm going to decline it because I don't know who you are. And also because I might think you're a scammer because I get a lot of scam accounts that have tried to follow me.
I see. That's fair.
Yeah. Getting doxxed kind of does that to you. Like, oh my gosh. So, but I'm sorry, where were we?
Just soup and
socials. Yeah, just soup.
Yeah, you got LinkedIn or anything? I don't know, more
I
professional.
do.
Yeah.
Yes, so if you ever want to connect with me on LinkedIn, my name's a little unique. So just Zoe Imansjah, Imansjah, no Y in Zoe, not like Zoe 101. Just say like, hey, you've heard my episode on the Adult Table podcast. I'll be like, oh, you heard me tell that story about Eric Nam? Or like, you know about my embarrassing everything I've talked about here. You know about my fish bookends.
The fish bookends are fire, though. Let's be honest.
Hey. This is my Midwest souvenir, and this is my Texas souvenir.
Oh, the Buc-ee's.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is the screenshot. This is a screenshot I want to use for when I promote the Adult Table.
That's the album. What is it? I forget what is it called? When the thumbnail.
The socials. The episode thumbnail.
Jeez. Okay, let me see.
No.
Just a couple more things to wrap up. So, don't forget to subscribe to us so you know when episodes come out, and you can follow us on Instagram at
I
the
really
adult.
should. I don't.
What did you just say? What did
Wait, I think I do. I don't
Oh,
remember.
go follow us.
interrupted my outro? She interrupted.
I
Okay,
do
what do you?
follow you.
Okay, you do. Okay, yeah, follow us. Okay, yeah, follow us at the Adult Table Podcast for updates.
You know what? Hey, it's not my fault. You guys haven't posted since August.
Okay, well, what are you calling us out for? What the
It's okay. I barely post on the side Instagram
heck?
anymore.
We're getting there. This is
Getting
you're the
there.
next episode. You know, you'll be there.
Yeah, more content to do.
All right,
Ooh.
Jason, wrap it up.
Damn, our Instagram just got ruined. It never happened before.
That's never happened.
What?
We're busy, you know. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are busy being real adults at the real adult table.
Still sit at the kids' table though, you know.
Yeah. Still follow us on the Instagram account.
Yes.
Closing out, I'm Jason Shin.
And I'm Jenny Chung, and we'll see you next time at the Adult Table. Thanks for listening.